What's up? Welcome back. You're watching the MVP Invitational, Unseen Games, Unseen Replays between Mr. Jaedong. He's the guy we're focusing on today, so let's go ahead and jump back to his vision. This game is going to be a match against Grubby from the MVP Invitational, and it's going to be a ZvP. Grubby has had some interesting results lately, but we're going to have to see what Jaedong has in store for us.
Indeed we will. Grubby is one of my favorite players to watch, just because, well, I mean, he's been around for so long, and the amazing thing about Grubby is there's never been a period where he's like not been a top contender throughout his history in Warcraft 3 or in Starcraft 2. Oh, I mean, or I guess it took him a little while to get it really into Starcraft 2, but by a little while I mean like several months, not like it was a year or anything like that. But and that's so rare for a player to be at the top for so long.
Yep.
I mean, it shows they're able to constantly evolve with the times, and it's just I just like seeing that in a player.
Yeah, and the map here is going to be Ohana, ZvP. So typically strategies in Protoss, 2 base all-ins can be very strong. Specifically the Immortal all-in. We also see, you know, good 3 base pushes, 3 base macro builds on this map that can be very effective. I feel like it's more of a Protoss map than a Zerg map, if very slightly perhaps. But we'll have to see, you know, what Jaedong ends up doing here to approach this matchup on this map.
Yeah, definitely the Immortal one is very strong. I mean, Grubby uses that not as extensively as other players, but it definitely is in his arsenal. And I would not be surprised to see him utilize it on this map here.
Alright, we'll have to keep an eye on that. He has a Nexus in production. Of course, Jaedong does not see anything just yet. His Overlord is just now approaching his opponent's natural expansion. Doesn't see anything there to wall off, which is something. This is something a lot of Protosses have been doing lately, as far as putting their initial pylon in their main, putting their forge in their main as well. It just helps their economy that much more, and of course they can wall off a little bit later. So Grubby placing that pylon down, and Jaedong is going to see that hatchery. So at first, if you see nothing at the ramp, you might think, oh, it's some sort of 1 base gateway play. But Jaedong getting far enough there to see the natural expansion doesn't have to worry about that.
Definitely does not. Grubby opening fairly standard, you know, Nexus, then Forge, then Cannon, and so forth. Both players not showing any inclination to do any shenanigans early game.
Alright, 2 gases here from Grubby, very standard. Jaedong adding on a queen. Trying to get some map control with these lings, taking that fast third. Nothing crazy happening here. What's going to be important is, you know, what Grubby ends up getting after the Cyber Core, what tech he's going to advance onto. Ooh, nice little pick off on that probe. Like that probe is actually so important for the Protoss.
Exactly, and one thing, if you guys didn't notice, that what Jaedong was doing, which is something I've been trying to tell Zergs you should be doing for a long time, is you can stutter step the Zergian and you get twice as many hits off on a probe. So actually, you often get 3 hits if you do it really well. So, you know, you have that Zergian in front of the probe. Instead of just letting him do his own thing, the instant he hits that attack with the claws, you right click, and so he moves. The instant after attack animation goes, he's already on the move. Instead of if he's just on attack move, he'll attack. He'll wait for the entire cooldown of an attack, and then he'll start moving after the probe. And of course, he won't get nearly as many hits off. Using this technique, you can actually run down a probe within 1 or 2 screens, even with a single Zergian. It's very strong way of utilizing it. It's similar to starter stepping the Marines or Stalkers, but it's a little trickier because you have to kind of guess which way the probe is going to run.
And it's really cool to see here Jaedong really has plans for all of his units here. Like his early link, sure, clearing that probe, and now they're taking down these rocks, which is really important to clear those rocks out so you can have access to that third base. If your opponent potentially engages that third, you want to be able to reinforce as fast as possible, so it's nice to have those rocks down. And we're going to see him start spreading that creep. Already has 1 creep tumor on the ground. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on his opponent's gases at his opponent's natural expansion. And it looks like I think he's sending an Overlord into the main at this point. Or it might just be chilling there.
Oh my gosh!
Just chilling there for now. That's an interesting spot for an Overlord.
Yeah, it's far enough away that if a Stalker came, he could get out of range of it without dying. But it's close enough that he can kind of get in a little bit earlier. I guess kind of not, you know, figuring he'd be safe there for the short term. Now he's trying to scout out what's going on. Let's see if he'll get in there and see if there's a robotics or not. He's gonna let his overload get. I like how he has the overload selected, so he can go up on a macro, and then once overload gets low, like it is now, he's gonna go look at it and see what it can see. But a lot of players will jump to that immediately, and they'll just kind of stare at the screen there. Where Jaedong's gonna be a little bit more efficient with his vision, right? He only jumps to it when there's actually something to see. As long as he gets there before it dies, that's really what's important. And now he's able to see that robotics is gonna cost him 2 overlords though, so not always clear if that was worth it or not.
And seeing the robotics at this point, I feel like it can still be pretty hard to tell what your opponent is doing, because it can either be, oh, okay, they're taking a fast third, getting an early observer out, oh, okay, they're going for a more all-in, or, oh, they're gonna go for some more prism play. And the Grubby here is doing a war prism, and I'm not necessarily sure Jaedong was able to identify that based on what those overlords saw.
I mean, he definitely was probably. I mean, he saw the Nexus is building probes late enough in the game that it's not a 2-base immortal win, most likely. So, I mean, that puts War Prism as something he should consider for sure. And being Jaedong, I think he will. It also could just be a little bit of a later 2-base immortal timing, maybe. I mean, I think if it was the fast one would be moving out now, but there's no way you can move an attack that fast if you don't cut probes. So, I think Jaedong has a pretty good idea what's going on at this point.
Oh
War Prism speed being researched by Grubby. That's really interesting to see how Jaedong reacts to such a annoying tactic, you could say, from the Protoss.
I like the placement here from Jaedong on his overlords. At the bottom side of the map, he's pretty much covering any potential airspace. Like if a unit moves over there, he's going to see it. And he also has the overlord in like the top right-ish area, so if War Prism tries to go that way, he'd be able to see it as well. And he has both watchtowers in his control, so Jaedong has a lot of vision here, and now he's going to try to engage in the third base. The War Prism is just going to jet across the map. Let's see how Jaedong reacts.
Looks like he's on the retreat. No, he's decided, okay, I don't need my full army to defend it. I like what he's doing. He's anticipating Grubby taking a third behind us, and he was looking for that probe snipe with that cluster of roaches. That's something that's really cool because, I mean, the probe snipe is just one probe, but it might slow the expansion by 20 seconds. You have to bring out another probe, and that's kind of annoying. And, I mean, of course, he backed away because he wasn't going to get it without losing a lot of roaches, but nice little attempt there. And, of course, defending this War Prism ramp without a problem.
Yeah, targeting down the War Prism with those queens is a very nice tactic. Behind this, Grubby is going to take a third base. This is actually a build I do against Zerg. This is like one of my standard builds, going for the fast Warp Prism Immortals, transitioning into Colossi. I think we actually talked about it recently.
We did.
But Jaedong going to try to counterattack right away. Great force shields there from Grubby.
Maybe let a few too many roaches in. It's taking significant sentry losses, and I mean, losing sentries if your opponent's going in faster is okay. If they're going mass road Zerging, it's not. The Colossi missteps as well. Oh, the Zergians are angry.
I'm wondering. Grubby.
Yep. I think it was pretty much over there. As long as Jaedong kept rallying in, he lost too many sentries, lost the Colossus. He wasn't going to really be able to hold the continued rally Zerg. Especially, I mean, it was 11-20, and Jaedong, basically, he would have been maxed if he didn't lose a bunch of units, so that's not a situation that Protoss wants to be in.
Just unfortunate circumstance there for Grubby. I mean, his sentries overextended a little bit too far coming up.
Yes.
I don't think there's really a reason to go that far with your sentries. You just want to keep your third safe, so keeping your sentries back here.
Well, if the Zerg's teching fast, you can try to scare them into thinking you're going to go out and kill them. But
I mean, he saw all the links and roaches with his War Prism.
Yeah,
so.
he shouldn't have done that. It was just a little bit of a...
And then a misrally on the Colossus was...
Yeah.
That's no fun at all. But nice awareness there from Jaedong, keeping that War Prism from doing too much damage up here in the north. And then, you know, having the initiative to actually counter right away and take those units off guard. So, guys, that concludes the game number 1 between Jaedong and Grubby. Coming up, it's going to be game 2. From Jaedong's perspective, you're watching never-before-seen replays from the MVP Invitational. Tonight, we're covering Jaedong, so stay tuned.